好，我们一起念一遍哦。七我，
七我，
我
我的名字是李四手，爸爸叫我49，妈妈叫我9。
People would joke and say, "Oh, you sound like you sound like a Westerner trying to speak Chinese," or "You're a banana. You're yellow on the outside. You're white on the inside."
I do have friends who just speak English. Well, they're Asian, but they would speak English. Even if some of them would attend Chinese schools, another few years later on, they would just completely speak English. When I first came to Australia, then there wasn't a lot of Taiwanese immigrants, so it kind of forced you to mingle in with Westerners. Even though you play with them, you're being educated the same way, but then you know there's a difference in culture and there's just different habits from what you do at home and your characteristics.
First day was challenging. Obviously, you don't speak a word of English, so you rely very much on, I guess, sign language and body language to express yourself. But like any school that you go to, you always get bullies and you get picked on because of your origin and because the lack of knowledge of the English language. So by sticking with your, I guess, own cultural background, it kind of helped ease the pain a little bit.
One of the things that I noticed, back in my student days, was that say people talk about the TV programs that they used to watch when they were at school. I don't know any of that, all that sort of things. All these jokes that people make. I don't know. There are certain things that I really don't know, but they know.
So I tried hard by making, American friends, watch their football games, basketball games, listen to their musics, and watch their TV shows. So I try to immerse myself into the culture.
I remember looking at videotapes of when we were younger, and we would all speak to each other in Chinese when we first got here because that was our most comfortable language. But I don't know, at some point through primary school we started to switch to English, and we've just always spoken in English ever since then.
I don't particularly worry about that, but I have noticed that I'm losing a bit of my kind of Japanese-ness sort of thing. So yeah, so certainly I'm forgetting lots of, say, Chinese characters you know, in writing, I'm forgetting, you know, how to be kind of properly polite. Yeah, so I guess I'm certainly losing some Japanese manners, I suppose, you know, kind of showing respect to other people, all that sort of things. You know, I have become a bit more assertive in a sense. So I have noticed that I'm losing it, yeah.
When I was in about grade 4 or 5, and my parents were starting to get worried that I had no grasp on Chinese, so they sent us me and my brothers, to Chinese school, and that was at a temple. And I remember, yeah, those 2 years that we learned Chinese, obviously I learned a lot. Most of my Chinese basics was learnt from that, but I just remember those 2 years, me and my brothers complaining so much about having to do homework. You know, it was the weekend, we had to take classes, and just thinking that, wow, you know, while all the other kids from school are just having a weekend off to play, to have fun, we had to go to Chinese school and learn Chinese, and it was a real bother back then. But
如果你写这个字或是另外一个字也可以哦。Last week we say the same word， 好，可以写这个字，课本上写这个字，好，都可以算对。好，我们看到第二个字的部分哦。好，标本，建好 ，right？ 对 ，yes， 特别好。好，注意，于浩，请问有没有写对 ？Yes， 好，注意。 好，第四，负责来回脸 ，right。好，第六个，陌生的陌，来问一下志美。好，最后一个，脱帽子的脱，野秋。结束。
I still teach them the Asian value very much. Because when they attend school, they speak the language English, but when they do go home, I only allow them to speak Mandarin, nothing else. They're not allowed to speak English at home.
说着说着，争吵起来了，分3半，分4半，6半6半，1人6半就是多。
There are considerations, probably during summer periods, is to take them back to Taiwan for them to be able to learn the culture at least for a month or so, and then come back again. Yeah.
I've got some Japanese friends who are a bit older than I am, and yeah, they are thinking that, you know, they might eventually go home, you know, back to Japan and then live there, and then, you know, kind of live the rest of their lives there. You know, well, I guess when you're young, you know, maybe you want to try to adapt to the new culture, you know, so I can, you know, say, thinking like you say, I can cope with this. But I guess getting older, you know, what I'm sensing from them is that it's you know, they're getting a bit tired of that, you know, kind of keep trying to cope, you know, keep trying to be Australian sort of thing. Then maybe they're feeling that it's easier for them to just go back to this old culture, old system, and then not worry about having to cope, I suppose, yeah.
Although I find myself very, I guess, westernized, I knew I had to keep the language and the culture and not forget, you know, where I'm from.